Alright, today I'm going to do a review for Jason Goes to Hell, everybody's least favorite Jason movie. But for me, it's actually one of my favorites, and it kind of goes along the lines of what I said in my last review for Texas Chainsaw 3D. I really like Jason Goes to Hell because it's different than all the other movies, and it's kind of like what Todd Farmer said when he was writing Jason X. He said he wanted to do something different besides, teenagers getting killed at a, summer camp and, what they did in all the other Jason movies. So, they try to do something different with Jason X as well, so that's for another review. But back to Jason Goes to Hell. Everybody hates this movie, and I get it. A lot of people are, Jason purists and this and that, whatever the case may be. But I just think it's an entertaining thrill ride of a movie. I mean, you can't deny that you have a ton of fun when you watch this movie. I mean, it's super gory. It's got interesting characters. The acting's pretty cool. I mean, it's got great kills. It's pretty decent movie. Um, it's as far as the body jumping thing goes. They you can tell they're obviously like ripping off the Wes Craven movie Shocker, which came out right before Jason Goes to Hell did. Um, but what movie doesn't rip off some other movie in some fashion? But I thought it was interesting they brought in the body jumping scenario, because as a kid growing up watching these movies, I would always think to myself, you know how does Jason either regenerate himself, or how does he come back from having a machete through his head, or he's been burnt, toxic waste, all this and that. And the I just always wondered how he comes back from getting fucked up like he does. How is his body just not deteriorated into a pile of nothing? So it's kind of interesting to think, well, okay, well, maybe once he uses up a body so much, if he gets a chance, he possesses somebody, and then that's what we see in the next film, is that body. I don't know. The body jumping thing is really not that big of an issue for me, really. I guess the reason that it pissed most people off is because actual Jason himself, hockey mask Jason, only has like 10 minutes of screen time in this movie. Um, so that's kind of a detractor, But I mean, I've seen plenty of Jason in other movies, and the hockey mask Jason scenes in this movie were enough for me, and I mean, really, I suspended my disbelief, and while I was watching the movie, while Jason's in other bodies, jumping back and forth in other. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe not. Anyway, while Jason's jumping into all these different bodies, and it's all the different possessed people coming after our main characters and all this and that. The whole time I was watching those scenes, like the Robert character when he's possessed and he's coming after them in the police station and in the diner and everything. I never for one second thought, okay, well, this is somebody else. It was always Jason to me. So like I said, the body jumping's not that big of a deal to me. It's not a perfect movie. There are very few movies that are perfect, or I would consider perfect in my own opinion. But I mean, the movie starts out with Jason, doing his thing, chasing someone, out in the woods, and then all of a sudden, here comes all these these black ops dudes and coming out of the trees and out of the bushes, and they shoot Jason to death and blow him the fuck up. I mean, and that's how the movie starts. It's like, wow, first 10 minutes of this movie and the title character just got blown up. What are we in for, you know? And you know, the scene where, you know, the coroner gets possessed by, you know, Jason's heart like starts beating on the table, and he gets like hypnotized by it and eats the heart. And then, you know, in the unrated version, you see him spitting out all this black barbecue sauce looking stuff. It's nasty. And you know, I really like that. I really like how they amped up the supernatural level to this film. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, killers like Michael Myers and Jason who keep coming back and they just won't seem to die. There's a supernatural element to that, but it's not something like, you know, Freddy Krueger where he's, you know, turning into this or that and coming in and out of dreams. And, you know, it's a different kind of supernatural, but they seem to amp it up a little bit more in this film, you know. And it seems like, you know, for it to be the final one, obviously it's not, but, you know, at the time it was. It seems like they were really trying to amp it up and, you know, kind of pull out all the stops, you know. You know, plus you got to love Kane Hodder's appearance out, you know, out of costume, you know, playing one of the guards outside the morgue where Jason's body was. That was pretty cool. I love Kane Hodder. Anything he does is awesome to me, except for that crappy Ed Gein movie. But anyway, one issue with this movie that I do have though is like Jason having a sister. You know, like it has never ever been mentioned, you know, Jason having any other family besides his mother. I mean, his father, Elias Voorhees, has been mentioned in some form, but, well, in this movie, actually. And there was actually a deleted scene, or a scene that never got shot anyway, in Friday the 13th Part 6 that had to do with Jason's father, if any of you know about that. But, you know, all of a sudden, Jason has a sister. And obviously that's because, you know, through a Voorhees, you know, can he be reborn, and only through a Voorhees can he die. You know, they set it up to move the plot forward, you know, but I guess I can forgive it because, you know, maybe if I was Jason's sister, I wouldn't want anybody knowing about it either, you know, so maybe that's, you know, that's what's going on with that. Who cares? I don't. But, you know, I just thought it was kind of corny. And the other thing is Creighton Duke. I love the character of Creighton Duke, don't get me wrong. The actor is great. The character was funny. I mean, he was the coolest part of the movie to me. But how does this dude know all this shit about Jason? How does he, you know all these supernatural, you know, the secrets of the Voorhees family? You know, who the fuck is he? You know? It just doesn't make any sense, and they didn't bother to try and explain that. I mean, there was a deleted scene where he explained something to Steven, the hero of the film, something about, you know, Jason killed his girlfriend years ago, and he's been hunting Jason, you know, but we've never seen this dude before. And so he shows up in Part 9, and he just knows all this shit about Jason that nobody knows. You know, it's kind of lazy storytelling in a way. You know, I feel like they could have made a little bit more of an effort on that. But at the same time, this movie's not. I mean, you know, they're just trying to move the story forward, you know, and there's a few plot holes, but, you know, just like, you know, I was talking about like the timeline and some other things in Texas Chainsaw 3D, you know, there's plot holes, but it doesn't ruin the film for me. But I mean, you know, I read online all the time. Everybody just hates this movie, and, you know, I get why they don't, you know, like it for some reasons, but I don't think this movie deserves to be hated as much as it is. It's super fun, you know. It's got some of the most amazing kills, like that girl getting you know, ripped in half in the tent, and I mean, you know, the two cops getting their faces smashed together. I mean, you know, it's had a lot of really cool stuff in it. It's got great effects by K&B Effects. You know, it's got Kane Hodder as Jason. You know, they amp up the supernatural element, which adds to it, something that we never really got to see a whole lot of in any of the other Jason films. And I love the ending sequence. All the demons coming up out of the ground and pulling Jason down. And the movie, in my opinion, it's got my favorite ending of all time. And I'm not just talking horror movies. I'm talking any movie whatsoever. And I'm talking about when the dog comes up, sniffs the mask, and paws at it a little bit, and then walks off. And then, you hear all this beautiful, serene music, and the camera pans in on Jason's mask, and you're like, oh, okay, so it's done. And then, bam, Freddy Krueger's hand pops up out of the ground and pulls the mask down. I mean, somebody had already told me about it before I even saw the movie when I was a kid, but it was no less amazing to actually see it, though. I mean, that's just my favorite moment ever. And a cool little factoid about that, too, is that Kane Hodder actually played Freddy Krueger's hand in that scene. So, in other, movie appearances that he's made, that would make Kane Hodder has played Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th 7 through 10. He played Freddy Krueger's hand in Jason Goes to Hell. He was the guy who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. He was his stunt double in that movie, so he's played Leatherface in some fashion. And also Adam Green did a really cool, the director of Hatchet and Digging Up the Marrow and all that. He did a really cool Halloween short a few years ago, and it was supposed to be like a funny deleted scene from the original Halloween, and it's Michael Myers learning to drive. I've actually posted it up in the group. But Kane Hodder played Michael Myers, so he's played the main four, the main four that we base Slasher Month off of, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Leatherface, and Jason. So I just think that's kind of cool. But, how could you not love the ending of that movie, And I was watching the commentary the other day with the writer and the director, and they were both really young. They were like 21 or 22, maybe 23 when they made this movie. And they said that, they weren't really like trying to set up Freddy vs. Jason, but they've been trying to do Freddy vs. Jason since 1987. Friday 13th Part 7 was, they were going to try and do Freddy vs. Jason there, but they couldn't figure out how to do it. So they replaced Freddy with like like Carrie kind of, and there's all the telekinesis and all that. So that's how Friday the 13th 7 came about, with that storyline. But they said they didn't have any like specific plans to set anything up or anything. They just figured, hey, New Line Cinema owns the rights to Jason. They own the rights to Freddy. Fuck it, let's throw Freddy in there too. Why not? Wouldn't you? But I'd go on and on about that ending. I just think that's the coolest ending of all time. And I almost wish that I hadn't have known about it before I saw the movie. I wish I could have seen that movie in theaters and been like, holy fucking shit, Freddy Krueger. But yeah, Jason Goes to Hell, though, it's just a fun movie. It's got to, go back over everything again. It's got Kane Hodder as Jason. It's got great kills. It's got great characters, a good cast. It's gory. It's over the top. It adds a whole bunch of new stuff to it. It's just a super fun movie. And, it's not your typical Jason movie, and that's probably why people hate it, but that's why I love it. Also another cool thing, before I end the review, for you little, Easter egg hunters out there, if you notice in the movie when they're in the Voorhees house, the Book of the Dead, the actual prop from the original Evil Dead film, you can see Creighton Duke flipping through that book. That is the same prop from the original Evil Dead film, which if you watch the commentary, the filmmaker said that they met Sam Raimi and he was nice enough to let them use it. And also in the basement, when you see the little Jason creature, his pure evil form, whatever that is, which that's something I forgot to mention. We got a little monster in this movie, so that was an extra little cool thing. They originally were going to have like a man in a suit, like the thing was supposed to grow and it was going to get bigger. There's pictures of it online, but it didn't look right and they didn't use it. But we still got the little creature, so that was a cool bonus. But back to what I was saying about other horror movie props. When that thing falls into the basement, you see it down in the. They cut to the basement. You can actually see it's like a crate, and it says Carpenter Expedition or something. Horlicks University. That's the actual crate from the segment, the crate in the film Creepshow. So, for hardcore horror fans, it's kind of cool to notice those little things within the movie. But anyway, guys, that's my review for Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. It's a movie that deserves a little bit more credit and praise, than what it gets. It's like, everybody hates Halloween 3 because it didn't have Michael Myers in it, but if it would have been called just Season of the Witch and not Halloween 3 and people wouldn't have been expecting Michael Myers, everyone would have nothing but good things to say about that movie. That movie is an underrated gem, and I'm actually going to do a review for that too. But, you guys know the types of movies I'm talking about. They're, not what people were expecting, and it turned them off. But, those are the things that kind of attract me to some movies. But, Jason Goes to Hell: Final Friday. It's a really cool movie, and it's one of my top favorites in the series behind, the original 4. So, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And if you have seen it, go, give it another watch. If you liked it, hell yeah. But, if you didn't like it before, watch it again, and, maybe you might, find a few things in it, that change your mind about it. Maybe this review might change your mind about it, but I would definitely give it another shot. But that's it for right now, guys, and I'll have another video here soon. I don't know if it's going to be a review or what. I got a lot of ideas for videos. There are more reviews coming. So until then, keep it scary.